Welcome back to another one of my videos. Today we're going to be working on a hamster cam stand in the shape of an acorn, and we're going to be using some leftover brush oak from a pile of wood that we had that we cut into firewood. I really appreciate you guys coming back and stick around to the end to see how it turns out. Thank you. Material you would need is some leftover 2x4s, some drill bits, screws, marker, drill bit, drill, wood clamp, and I'm using some Titebond 3 wood glue to adhere the wood pieces that we're going to be using. There's that brush hook I was talking about. We also have a sliding miter saw. This is a Cobalt 24 volt battery operated one. It's a smaller one, but it'll work for our purpose. These two pieces right here are for our base. It's 10 by 7.25. These three pieces, once bonded and glued together, come out to 10.5 by 5.5. We're using some Titebond 3 and some DeWalt wood clamps. Make sure that they get a strong bond and don't come apart. And these three are what's going to form the acorn bottom that's going to hold up the brush oak limb. By the way, if you haven't noticed, I did not have a tripod at this time. This was actually going to be one of my first videos, and I did not have a camera stand, so everything that I was doing here was done holding the camera while also trying to maneuver and clamp certain things down or do certain things one-handed. So I apologize for the weird angles, but that's just how it was at the time. I did not have my camera stand at the moment. Here it is all clamped. All we have to do is wait for it to dry. If you make a mess on your concrete floors, I would suggest grab your hose and wash this off while it's still wet and not dry. Otherwise you're going to have a hard time getting that glue off the cement or whatever surface some of that glue dripped onto. Now to clamp the main base that is 10 by 7.25. Make sure you get good bond. We have a little bit of a spillage. We're going to clean this as well before it has a chance to dry. Once all your gluing is done and it is dry and you've given it enough time to cure, you can take the clamps off and it's ready to go and on to the next steps. Now that our gluing is all done, we are ready for the acorn shape. We're going to Sharpie this in, and I got the design off of a Google search and I just hand drew it onto the wood as best I could and try to keep it uniform on both sides. Here I use that sliding saw to give it get it as close to possible to its final shape before using a jigsaw. and giving it its final shape. Here on this brush oak, I cut the bottom piece to level it out and give the branch its balance so that it could stand pretty much on its own without having to hold it up. Here we have a glaze coat that we're going to put on that brush oak. We have a brush, and we picked up some material, some poplar, to be the little stand where the camera is going to sit on. And yes, I am leaving the moss and everything on there. I think it adds a nice touch to the branch and to the final product. Here I measured out to 25, 27, and 28 and a half to do some cutouts where that little poplar stand can sit on, and you can change the height of the camera based off of those cutouts and measurements. There is the Acorn cut out with the jigsaw, and I ended up only using 2 of those measurements. I think I used 25 and the 28 and a half. I didn't use the middle one, so I didn't cut that out. And here you can see where that poplar would go whenever you create that little camera stand. Here I use this knife to cut out the bottom portion of this brush oak. I believe it was about ½ an inch on the bottom all the way around, so that this would stick onto that acorn shaped base that we made earlier. And now it's pretty much ready for the glaze coat epoxy to go on this branch. Here we have that glaze coat on the branch. We are just waiting for it to dry. Now for the acorn piece, we went ahead and we took a Hamster bit and cut out our traced portion of it so that brush oak would fit in it. Here we sanded it down with a 120 grit on all the pieces that are finished. Here we have that acorn Hamstered out. We traced the outline with that brush oak, and we dug it in about ½ inch so that it would drop in there, and we will throw in some wood glue as well into it so that it'll be solid and not move anywhere. As an added measure, you can see that there's a hole drilled right in the middle, and I am going to secure the brush oak branch onto this acorn base with a drywall screw on the bottom, just so that it doesn't go anywhere. Now that that is done, I am going to secure the bottom base to the acorn base so that it goes nowhere, and it has an extra weight at the bottom so that it doesn't wobble and tip over easily. Here I have 4 screws that I'm going to be putting in. I am going to drill the bottom base to the acorn base, and I believe I am using a 1/8 drill bit to make these holes. Make sure not to go too deep, otherwise you will drill through the acorn base. Now that the base is all secured, glued, and screwed down, I am measuring out about 6.5 inches of this poplar base that we are going to be using for the camera to be secured on. What I go ahead and I do here afterwards is I take neodymium magnets and I use fastener bits to put those magnets in with a little bit of super glue. And here's that poplar base, and I have those neodymium magnets in there with this 3/4 fastener bit that I use. And these are Ryobi brand. Here they are right here. You can pick yourself up a set. I don't think these are very expensive if I remember right. And I also went ahead and I stained this with some red oak wood stain. Well, there you have it. As you can see, here it is in place, and we have a blink camera that we picked up from Amazon. As you can see, these little magnets right here stick onto the bottom of the camera, which has a metal base in the middle. I have two positions for it. I can set it a little bit further back, or as I had it before, I can set it in the front position right here and angle the camera. And it is a wide lens camera. It can capture everything inside his enclosure. If I wanted it to go a little bit lower, which I haven't used this position right here, I can put it right here, as you can see. And the position that I prefer currently is this one, since I have 7 to 8 inches of paper and aspen bedding in parts of his enclosure, and that gets everything inside his enclosures view wise. There's the base right here once again, and the whole project, well, not the whole project, but at least the branch portion of it is epoxied and should hold up over time. Well, that's it for this video. If you guys like the content, please hit that like button and subscribe.